Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I am super freaking crazy excited about my guest today because she's not just a guest, she's one of my dearest friends. I love this woman to death. We are there for each other through thick, thin, happy, sad, all of it. We're literally like a text away, a phone call away, whatever, and she's amazing. And by the time we're done, you are going to think she's as amazing as I do, except you can't have her. She's mine. No, that's not true. We share. Okay, I'm going to read her bio and bring her on. All right, Jennifer Urezzio is the founder of Soul Language, a paradigm that puts tangibility to soul so a conscious connection can be established to enable crystal clear decisions for success. And it works when you do it right, unless you're like me, who's still trying to figure it out. Anyway, Jennifer is also a master intuitive and the author of 2 best-selling books. Currently, she has trained over 20 practitioners worldwide in soul language. At this time, there are over 5,000 individuals all over the world connecting to their soul languages. And we'll get into its soul languages as we go on. Jennifer has worked with and supported hundreds of successful, highly creative individuals, me being one, with resolving blocks in their creative process so that new opportunities can be received and created. Her clients consistently relate how Jennifer provides an environment where they feel safe to open up and be vulnerable. It's true. She helps them regain their strength and express their big purpose and mission. Jennifer has even been described as liquid nitrogen because she has the ability to see the core of possibilities within each individual's energy field. She's a master at asking the soul-searching questions that allow individuals to understand and perceive new pathways of success and greatness in their lives. In just one session, and I can freaking attest to this, clients report that new possibilities open up for them, which allows them to express their creativity, stardom, and greatness in whole new ways to the world. So, I'm so excited. Without further ado, let's meet Jen. Hi.
Hi. First of all, you kind of got me choked up about being called your friend, which is such a high compliment to me. Like, to be called someone's friend is so important, and I'm so honored to be called your friend. Thank you.
You are.
I know, but it's an honor because I take that stuff seriously. I really do.
You. Well, I love you, and you are a friend. I mean, I know I'm not a blue healer, but you know.
You're up there. It goes blue healer, Iris, Warner, the boyfriend. But don't tell Warner.
Wow. Okay. I won't tell Warner. And we won't tell Hart either. Hart's probably going at this point.
My God.
I mean, my guys are actually.
Oh,
I was just going to say they're sleeping. Oh, I did. Like, why did I do that? Anyway. Pipes, you okay? All right. Anyway, it's probably the mail. So how are you? What have you been up to? Like, I want you to tell everyone about who you are and what you do, but how are you? And it's just, I miss you. It's so good to see your face.
It's so good to see you. I'm good. You know, I think like most of us, where there's this new kind of wave of energy coming where, you know, we're all kind of doing this up leveling, which means there's a lot of shaking of the tree and seeing what doesn't work. Sometimes there's crying, sometimes there's throwing things. So there's a huge thing. You know, I'm doing this event in September, this live event in person, and that always shakes the tree. I'm coming up with like a mini paradigm, a new paradigm, and we'll see how that goes. So good. Yeah, busy, but good. And Warner moved in. Warner's the boyfriend, everyone. We've been together 9 years. He split his time between his parents' house and our house, but now he's full-time here. And that's just interesting and new and fascinating. God, he's got a lot of shoes. But
I love the shoe thing because I want to take a picture shoes and jeans. I mean, I have so much clothes. It's stupid, but that's my wife's fault because I used to have 3 pairs of shoes, maybe 2 pairs of, this is 20 years ago, maybe 2 pairs of jeans and a few shirts.
Right.
Like there's just no words.
So that's me compared to Warner, right? But, there's something just very sweet and kind of revitalizing our relationship where you just make coffees for someone on a daily basis, right? There's something really loving and sweet about that. And, making sure the lunches are packed and, what are you doing tonight? Are you going to be home? Like, what are we going to have? Like, there's something really partnership oriented about that is interesting. And I really haven't experienced that partnership to that degree. I mean, on the weekends, but not fully until I was 23, 24. Right.
Wow.
And so that's really unique. And it allows you also to shift a lot of stuff. Like what am I caring about that? Why am I caring about this? So it's kind of opening up a whole new thing and just in time because next year I'm going to do, or later this year, warrior and sacred feminine energy, which has been on the plate to do for like the last year. And I've been like, I don't have enough information. I get it. Now I'm like, oh. And then in September, Jennifer Bloom and I are doing love, money, and power.
Ooh.
A 3-week class. Yeah. Because we've done a bunch of money
I don't know Jennifer Bloom, I don't think.
Oh my God. If you don't know Jennifer Bloom, you need to meet Jennifer Bloom.
Okay.
She's an expert on the relationship with money. So she does soul language and the money relationship. And she's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that intro. Just like I'm going to introduce you to Allie because Allie is just, the two of you are going to really hit it off.
I love it.
So, I started, when I was reading Jen's bio, I was saying, yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Because Jen and I met, actually, we met in person before we actually worked together, which was funny because we met in Harlem when I was in New York.
Yes, and we had a lovely dinner, you and your wife.
Yep.
And Nina.
And we weren't 100% sure that we didn't have COVID, although we were pretty sure that we didn't have COVID.
And we're like, that's okay.
We're like driving. No, I didn't. But, we were driving from seeing my brother, who that's like a whole nother story. But we had spent the weekend at my cousin's house and my sister Outlaw, because we kept her in the divorce like years ago, calls me as I'm on my way to meet Jen and my friend Nina, who is also on here, for dinner. And she's like, I have COVID. And I was like, you have got to be kidding. Number one, I just came from seeing my brother who, we don't talk that often. And we had a really great day. Now I have to call him and be like,
hey.
Susan, your ex might have given me COVID that might have given you COVID. But then I'm like, on my way down to you guys calling, going, hey, but we went to the Walgreens or whatever the hell was like literally across the street from the restaurant. And we just, tested and it was negative. And it ended up that we didn't have it, but it was just like a weird thing. But anyway, but that's how the first time that we met. And then we started working together and then we became friends. But working with you opened up, because I was at probably the midpoint of my spirituality journey where I'm, than where I'm at now. Like I'm so much further ahead and I was still trying to figure stuff out. And it was really eye opening, like all of the things.
You are also midpoint in really accepting in a bigger way your intuitive gifts and talents.
Yes.
Right. And I think that also has done this whole up level of your business because you really trust that intuition now. And when you hear go right, you go right and you don't worry about, oh my God, what's going to happen if I don't go left, right? And that has allowed a lot more flow and a lot more support in your personal universe. Yeah. And, I think that is a way I think it makes business a lot easier. And I think it makes the kind of day to day running the business a lot more fun and enjoyable, because you're like, okay, let's just get the free will on board. Like, if I'm not in alignment with this, let's go in and see why. Like, what am I truly not in alignment for or with?
Right.
I remember when I started, this thing called Soul Language, I was working with a partner on an event, and I had signed the first contract, and then she's like, I don't think I can do the event. We had to have therapy. It was a thing. And then, I had to sign the second contract, and I kept I'm action oriented, right? I kept moving the contract all around my desk and not being able to sign it. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time I talk to my soul about what's going on.
Wow.
And I did. And I went to her. I was like, listen, I can't sign this contract. And she's like, well, I don't really believe in what we're doing. And I was like, okay. So let's just talk about how we're going to pay that $5,000 deposit, because now, and then you work with your soul to kind of heal that. And I think the problem that people have is when they think they're trusting their gut, their intuition, and something bad happens, then they're like, well, I trusted myself and look at all the bad things. And I'm like, did you ask enough questions, right? Did you get the warnings? Did you steamroll yourself? Did you, there's so many different layers that people often aren't really as connected as they could be to get that full answer.
And I think that people, it's really funny. So the guy that I was talking about earlier, I'm not going to say it on air, but the guy that I was talking about earlier, I really believe that he is also self-sabotaging. I think that some of the things that happened. Like, I don't doubt it. Like, and I remember when I used to self-sabotage, all this crazy shit would happen. But it would happen because I was basically telling the universe,
drawing it
to me. So, it was like, yes, I'm self-sabotaging. So please make this thing happen. Please make this toilet bowl appear in the middle of the street that I trip over and scrape my arm and my leg over. That didn't happen. I'm just using that as an excuse. There was a show. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't 6 Feet Under. Oh, what was it?
Being Erica?
No, wasn't it Dead Like Me, where she was like walking down the street and then she got hit by a toilet bowl?
No.
Have you ever heard? You have to. I think it was called Dead Like Me, and the beginning of the show shows her like walking, and she has whatever her life is going on, and she's bitching about something, and all of a sudden she looks up and this toilet bowl just like takes her out, and now she's a ghost and she's in this world with like all these.
I've seen that show. I like Being Erica, which is really old. But Erica's life sucks, and she walks through this door and she goes to this therapist. And the therapist's gift is to put her in the exact situation that she was bitching about so she could read and do something different. She does something different, and the results are the results. Meaning, even if she does something different, the end thing is still the end thing.
It's still going to be the same.
Right. And I loved it because it gave me a chance to look at it. And this was before I did any work. Gave me a chance to go, wait, I do have choice. And I can truly forgive myself for the choices I made, because the end's always going to be the same, because it's all working out the way it's supposed to.
Yes.
And I had to be in acceptance about all of those things that I think I regret or that I wish I did differently, because they're not serving me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and one of the things, and you remember the ghost and the phone and all that, right? Like I was telling Allie about that yesterday. But what was really telling about that whole night, and this was like one of those, waking up at 3:00 in the morning going, oh, crap. That's what, when they appeared, when the chief appeared, was when I was saying it was the full moon, and I was like letting go of things that no longer serve me.
Yeah.
And we know what that was. And it hit me like recently. And I literally woke up at 3:00 in the morning and was like, oh, shit. That's why they decided to appear at that time.
Yeah.
And when we get to I just get so excited about all this because when we get to that level of consciousness, which I wasn't at then and I am now, and like you said, the end result, it was always going to be the end result.
Yeah.
It was always going to be the end result. It was a bad idea from the beginning. Our wives said it was a bad idea from the beginning, and we were like, nah. And I'm saying that because we're talking again, and it was like, hey, why don't we do this thing together? And I went, nope, we do not work well together. I love you, your family, but we're not doing that again.
Right.
And that I have the intuition to know that it's not going to work, but B, the wherewithal and the confidence now and the strength to say no.
Yeah. To not people please, to not never leave. See, you have warrior energy. So that's like never leave a man down. You know, you want to make sure everyone's safe and loved. You know, you want to be in partnership. You want to offer people the chance to build them up. But the downside of that is self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't do anymore. So does that still make me?
Yeah. You're just using the warrior energy consciously versus unconsciously.
Okay. So let's talk about your journey, and then all of this soul language stuff that people are going, what the heck is that? So this is like 2 woo shows back to back, which is like kind of funny. I know.
Woo squared.
Woo squared. There you go. Or yeah.
So where do you want me to start, Iris?
I want you to start at, well, first I want to do one thing. And if it's messy back there, I'm going to apologize. But before we start, I just want to talk about who you are before you talk about who you are. I was going through a really shit time. I was really, really, really down. And Jennifer said, I'm going to write a prayer for you. And I said, okay. And she goes, actually, I have a book of prayers. And I went, oh you do?
I love that book.
And I use this book still.
Thank you.
Because there are all of these, the prayer of everything, new day prayer, gratitude, prayer for a broken heart, letting go of fear, a prayer for freedom, a prayer of connection, understanding, handing over the reins to the divine. All of these things in here have helped me, there we go, and save my ass from having really bad days. So I just wanted to thank you for that. So now...
So, let's talk about Jen. So I was in marketing and PR, and I was called aggressive. I'd be like, can I have a pen? They're like, why are you so aggressive? I'm like, and I was at the point where I was working with my best friend, and I was allowed to talk to media because I was really good at talking to media. I was not allowed to talk to clients because I would tell them the truth, and nobody liked my tone.
You're a woman.
Yeah. Not only that, but my soul languages which are putting words to my core energy of soul. Like I'm a teacher of integrity, right? And so people aren't in integrity. It kind of triggers them if they're not willing to look at it. So I was being my shiny self and it would trigger them. And I was talking to a client that we had. It was an internationally known coach. And I spent 2 hours guiding her about her relationship with her daughter. And we got off the phone and Erin, my best friend and my boss, said, did you just, I was like, yeah, and that's going to end really badly. I'm really sorry. And a month later, she fired us because she said I didn't know her business. I knew, I saw beyond the curtain. And she couldn't take that. And I said to Erin, I'm going to go freelance. Like, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go freelance in 3 months. And in 3 months, she looked at me and went, you're going freelance tomorrow. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, totally forgot. She's like, I made plans. She didn't make any plans. But that was the kind of pushing off point. And the next big leap was I was talking in front of a group of 100 people about essential oils and life purpose. And I got off the platform and people were like, can you tell me my guides and teachers? I was like, uh-huh. Can you tell me about this? I was like, uh-huh. And I had a business. Like I walked away with clients.
Wow.
And I walked away with this thing called soul language, which was received from asking questions from the universe, God, Bob, Cupcake, whatever you want to call it. I call it God. And what it does is it puts tangibility to soul. It puts words where people can understand their core energy. Not to put anybody in a box, but so you can have deep conversations with your soul. Because humans, we like words. We like images. We like pictures. We like deep understanding. And unlike Enneagram or human design or DISC, understanding your core energy is about actually evolution. So the definitions are a starting point. And then our jobs are to keep tuning in and asking questions so we can shift our energy from operating from pain and programming to consciousness. And so I identify people's soul languages. We identify the soul of a business as well. And what I'm really good at is understanding where the energy leaks are and helping people move from the leaking of energy, the unconscious, into wholeness and completeness so they can use that energy as intended to make their dreams come true rather than living from pain and programming. That's what I do.
Wow. And you do it with such empathy and understanding.
Thank you.
Because it's not an easy thing to, I know, it's not an easy thing to look at. Like mirrors are hard, right? Like mirrors are, I do this thing every morning or almost every morning where I wake up and I'm like, I look in the mirror and I could have a good hair day or really bad, whatever it is, and sleepy, whatever. And I kind of look and I'm like, hey, you, I love you. You go out and have a great day.
Yeah. But
right?
Most people can't do that, Iris. Most people can't look themselves in the eye and express that. It's actually painful for them.
And it was for the longest time. My mom had this thing that I had on my mirror that said, you are responsible for your own happiness. And for years, and I never got it. I was like, the hell are you talking about? You're supposed to make me happy. I'm not supposed to make me happy, And then I realized that I can't make anybody happy if I don't make myself happy.
Right.
So, I've been on this amazing journey for years, not just the last 4 years when all of this started coming up, but just for years. And each day is a new experience, right? It's a new experience of self-love. And there are days that I don't feel that. But I know that, in the overarching of everything that I do, and that you can have a bad day. And you know what? You missed a deadline. That is your hell. That is my hell. Missing deadlines to me is hell because I don't.
Your words and actions always have to measure up.
They have to. If my word is my bond. That's right. It. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say it's going to be done by a certain time, it is. And when forces outside of my control make that not happen, what happens to Iris? So that happened this past week. And Kofi, as we said, came in and saved the day. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, okay, I'm not really happy about what happened, but I still love you. Let's go conquer this day. And it was hard. But I knew that it wasn't me.
Right.
But even though it wasn't me that missed the mark, it's my business. So it's my responsibility.
Yeah. And here's the thing. On those days, I can't love myself or I'm in the not enough. I'm like, okay, I got my God backup generator, right? I'm putting out into the universe, into myself that I'm loved, supported, and provided for. I'm just going to let God do that work today because I'm not on board with it.
Wow.
Right. And allowing that grace that you don't have to be. I think so often in spirituality, people are trying to be perfect and they're doing it with their head. And that's kind of ridiculous. Like, you're going to hear the eye roll. Like when I tell a person like, okay, how you're doing? They're like, oh, everything's great. I'm like, I'm a psychic. Like, I know when you're lying, like, but it's that I'm supposed to be perfect. I'm supposed to be in joy all the time. That is actually creating that stuck energy of really being in a baseline of trust, neutrality, courage, love, joy. And so often I think we are looking to eradicate our ego instead of getting ego on board. Without ego, you wouldn't get off your couch, right? And so ego is that action-oriented part of us. So how do we practice love submission with ego, right? I always tell clients practice love submission, and they look at me, I'm like, oh, you have to love yourself until you submit. Until you go, okay, I'm going to give up, till you surrender. And when you do, you're like, oh, okay, I can feel the multiple layers of something, and I can also understand where I want to place my energy. You know, I think, I feel the same way about, letting people down and blah, 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 and all of that. And I think, my former career being in public relations would set me, like, it was such a trigger. It was such a great training ground to be loving and compassionate to myself, because so much was out of my control.
Yeah.
And letting people know that, hey, you've got this big vision, I get it. But what are you going to do? What are you going to be today to fulfill that vision? And then what are you going to do? Because if you're not being in the energy that your greatest desire, and mine's freedom, then it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's so, God, it's like so, like, when something is aligned now or not, right? It's like,
Right.
you know that, and it's so funny because I will still not be a full hell yes, and I'll still move forward only because I'll feel like I have to. And then, like, what happened? Because this was not a whole, there's a blowback, right? But what I love
if it's
about,
not a hell yes, it's a no.
It's a no. It's a no. And it's listening to your body, and it's listening to your intuition, right? And I am still working on that. I am still, it's so funny because, like, I forgot what it was. There was a situation last week and my body was like, no, 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 no. And my mind was like, it can't hurt. And my body was like, no, 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 no. And I almost moved forward. And then I was like, I'm going to listen this time. And it was very clear that it was good that I listened.
Yeah. And I think it's also a training ground and a practice. And as we evolve, those senses, our soul talking to us through our intuition, gets bigger, louder. You understand it more. It's about understanding your database too. I'm going to get science fiction references. Why? Because I love those, right? And so my soul is going to give me something I can understand. And then sometimes I have to translate it for a client, or sometimes I get something that the client understands. It's also about knowing that you're safe to act on those things. And I think people aren't afraid of what their intuition says. They're afraid of all the things that they're going to have to do or say when they listen to it. And the example I always give is, don't get on the plane. You're not afraid about not getting on the plane. You're afraid about, oh my God, well, what's going to happen? And what's my partner going to think? And should I let them on the plane? And, what's going to happen when my grandmother doesn't pick me up at the airport because I'm not there, right?
Right.
There's all of that. Or then the plane doesn't crash and you're like, okay, the plane didn't crash and now I didn't get on the plane. So, right. But it could be a whole bunch of reasons. But the more you listen, the more you're going to also be able to track afterwards why that was a good decision.
And trust, right?
Yeah.
Because the more that you listen, and the more that when you listen, the right outcome happens, you can trust it. Like by me saying no to that person, like when I saw it, at first I was like, I mean, maybe. And my body was like, bing, 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 bing. No, no, don't even know. Like this is no. And I finally, I didn't answer right away because that text came today. I waited a few hours and I really kind of sat with it. And I said, bless you, as my mom would say, sneezed on the truth. No. And I was kind about it, but I was like, after I was done, I was like, oh my God, I said no to him.
Now what else? Now what? Like, look at all that power now that you get to utilize.
Yes, it was like, I'm not that same person that used to be, right? And it was such an amazing feeling. And not anything against him because he's a good man. He's a good guy, right? But I was able to reclaim my power.
Yeah.
And it just felt amazing. And then I called my wife and she was like, good, because, there would have been death involved. And I said, I know. But so let's try to explain soul language a little, and then we can get to the entrepreneur stuff, but maybe we'll see. But
why do you want soul language? Basically, you want it because it literally gives you on paper who you are at a core level and how to use your energy. It gives you also a way to consciously connect to your soul. So people often go, I think I'm hearing my guides. Soul is different than guides. Soul should be your last word on taking action. And it gives you a very clear structure to have a conversation with your soul. And your soul has all the answers. It knows whether to go left or right. It knows what's in your greatest good. And so when you have that real relationship, that intimate relationship, you become an unstoppable force of goodness.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why you want it.
And it's funny because the only one that I can, unless I go back and I look at our paperwork, and so we need to revisit stuff, but is Mortar Maker.
Really?
Why is that the one that's the only one that I can remember and that sticks out to me?
I freaking love that because I wouldn't have picked that as the language that you remembered, because Mortar Maker is all about seeing the love that's between all of us and being able to help people understand that love in order to feel connected. Your other two languages are negotiator and strategist.
And how can I forget those two? That's what I do. I negotiate and I strategize.
Right. But I love that you're remembering Mortar Maker more, because that tells me that you've been using that energy more and more. Because before you were like, yeah, strategist, negotiator, I totally get it. I don't get Mortar Maker. And now that you have this new relationship, that tells me you're more connected to yourself and every fabric of the universe than you were before. And that's cool, because that tells me that you can then understand, see, experience how we're all connected and know when connection should take place to move forward on something and when it shouldn't.
I've always, and we talked about this before, I think, with, Avatar. So, the tree of life, and then how everything is connected with the Navi and all that. And I remember watching that movie and going, that's how I feel. Like when I sit my ass on my grass, okay, that wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it did. But when I sit on the grass, I have my ass in the grass, and my feet in the grass, and I have my hands in the grass, I feel connected to, and my backyard is, I could pull my camera off, but he'll kill me, so I won't. But my backyard is woods, right? It's all trees and wildlife and all this, amazingness. And when I do that,
sorry,
it's okay. This is how we started. We started like this. When I do that, and I do it probably up till until it starts getting cold, because I can't be barefoot because my feet hurt because of my condition from COVID and all that stuff. But I feel completely connected.
Yeah.
I feel connected to Mother Earth. I feel connected to those trees. And then I read about something with the mushrooms.
Networks.
Yes, with the mushrooms, how everything is all connected. And so it's been like this.
Boom.
Like, yes. It's like.
And that's why you're so good at helping others use marketing to connect. Because you can understand where their connection point is missing and then reestablish their connection point. So they have a new connection point or a stronger connection point to their community. That makes you so good. Then you create the strategy on top of that, and wherever they are in disagreement with that themselves, you help them create new beliefs and agreements around it. Like, you're a powerhouse. Like, why wouldn't anyone want you for marketing? I want more of that.
You hear that, folks? No, but seriously, I mean, and I'm very heart-centered. Like, one of the things that that I do know about myself is that everything I do from the heart, right? Even with what happened with the guy this weekend. I mean, I spoke to him today, and I was like, I still want to figure out a way to work with you, and we will. You take care of yourself. You get better. You know, anything that has an immediate deadline, I'm not going to give to you. But because I really believe, that everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah, that's and that. You can see the essential nature in everyone. And you can connect to their essential nature. And you want to bring out the best in them. Now, me, I don't care. Like, whatever. Right? And the drawback for you has been that their essential nature is more important than your own.
Yeah,
and that's changed.
It has changed. And Kofi can tell you, it was really funny because he would be like, oh, this was like last year, the year before. And I really learned from that as well. It's like, you always want to help somebody.
Right.
You got to start helping you. And, you know, to be able to do that and not feel that I'm being selfish took a really long freaking time.
Yeah, you're not, and no one, listen, when you are doing what's in your greatest good of all, you're doing what's in everyone else's greatest good, whether we agree with it or not. And people really, the people who always worry about being selfish are never selfish. They're just not, right? There's a difference between being self-aware and grabbing things so you feel safe. So when people are being selfish, they're trying to fill a hole inside of them. You're being self-aware and saying, this is going to build me up. This is going to make me feel closer to my higher power. This is going to enforce my wholeness and completeness. When people are selfish, they're trying to fill that hole inside of them that never believes that they're enough. And that hole is not fillable from external. It's only fillable from internal.
Wow.
And we all have it, and they're all different degrees. And I think entrepreneurs are great at serving people and really bad at serving themselves.
Yeah. Yes. And I say this every show, is that if you ever want to know what you're made of, become an entrepreneur. Because that is when you can't hide from who you are. You can't. No. Because your decisions, your actions, everything is cause and effect, right? Every action has a consequence. Every inaction has a consequence. So we can call an inaction having a consequence, and an action having maybe a better outcome than a consequence, but there's always some kind of an effect.
Yeah.
And I think that we adjust, and if we don't adjust, then we don't get forward, right? I say they're stopping stones or stepping stones,
Yeah.
and or stepping stones or stopping stones. And when they become a stopping stone, you don't go any further. You stop,
No.
and you can't stop.
No, and here's the thing. You call in a business, I believe, and I know, that is designed to succeed. It doesn't have any of your pain. It doesn't have any of your programming. It lives energetically on what you put into it.
Yeah.
So if you put pain and programming in, it's going to. I used to be the money girl. Like I used to say the money in the PR firm that I was in. And I remember a conversation in the elevator, and I'm like, we don't talk until we're down on the floor. And we just got new business, and Air went, that was a huge figure you got out. Like huge. And I was like, yeah, you're worth it. Because I was selling her, right? But when I had to turn around and talk about my own thing that first couple of years, like that was harder, right? And so you really get to see where your kind of structure is working for you and where it's not. And I think I was just talking to someone, and we were talking about becoming a client. And she's like, well, okay, so I'm going to take this class about summits, and then I'm going to take this class about this and this and this. And then in September, maybe I can work with you. And yet she has no idea what her sacred purpose is. She talks about her delivery systems as her arc of transformation, which means I'm a Reiki master instead of I guide people to blah, blah, blah. And she's terrified to be out in the spotlight. And I said to her, okay, I have no agenda, no judgment. But here's the deal. If you keep taking external before you do the internal, the external is not going to go anywhere because you're creating on a foundation that's been cracked. And I think so many entrepreneurs are always looking for the external. And listen, this is the woman that said, oh my God, please change your menu bar. There's too much stuff. No one is going to want to be at that menu bar. Okay. She was absolutely 100% right. And I had the internal structure to go, okay, that's not about me. I don't know. Oh, think Warner something.
Oh, I thought we were starting they're barking and she's barking. And
so I had the internal structure to know that's okay. I don't have to take pride in that.
True, but now it is. But she's running outside looking for heart. But what was funny about that was I usually don't give like unsolicited advice, right? Because I hate when I get unsolicited. And actually, that's not true. I welcome all advice, but because I love you and because you're a friend, it was like I went to it and I was like, no, you got to fix that. And you were like, okay. But then I kind of sent you on a spiral at that. But I think you were already like working on that spiral.
I was already spiraling. And here's the thing about warrior energy, right? Like I can change on a dime. Like I can like shift. Someone said to me the other day, a very good friend of mine, you're so powerful. You shift immediately. Yes. But sometimes I have to spiral in order to shift.
Right.
And I wasn't spiraling because the information was wrong. I was spiraling because I didn't know how to fix it.
I know.
And I was going to have to ask for help.
I just wanted to fix it for you, and you wouldn't let me fix it.
But that was I had to ask for help. Like I had to do it. Finally, I called my web guy and I was like, okay, I'm done. And he's like, Jennifer? And I was like, here's what I want. Can you just fix it? And he's like, oh yeah, that's not a problem. And I was like, okay. And it was fixed in a day.
Yeah.
But because I didn't, that's been my big drawback. I mean, when I broke my ankle, I'm outside in winter with my broken ankle, no shoe on the other foot, because I was there trying to walk the dog. And my landlord said, I told you I would help you. And I was like, Marlene, I just couldn't ask for help. Right? Like, I think that entrepreneurs are so used to doing it alone that they don't have the internal resources to ask for help. And they don't ask new questions. They keep asking the same questions, over and over again.
So, okay, we'll do some entrepreneurial stuff. Okay, so good. What advice do you have for somebody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
Number one advice, get a good accountant and get a good bookkeeper. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, get one of those. Get one of those that actually take you through the process, that's going to talk to you, and get someone who's actually going to talk to you about your money issues. Those are things. The next thing is, what is the internal consciousness that you have to be in order to receive what you want? And then from there, ask yourself what you're going to do every day, every week, every month to grow your business. And the last thing is, I recently realized that I say the same thing in networking things. I say, okay, tell me how I can help you grow your business without saying I need more clients. Because we all need more clients.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
And relationships are currency. Really, really good relationships are currency.
Yes.
And having those people like you that you can call up and go, I'm crying at my desk and I don't know how to fix this and I don't know what to do. And you go, okay, calm down. It's fixable. Don't worry about it. We got this. That's huge. And you need those relationships. And the last thing is to understand what kind of marketer you are. I'm a relationship marketer, right? You're going to love me or you're going to hate me. You want to know what's in my head if you love me. And I build all that marketing around that factor. So that's my advice.
Interesting. And it's funny with the love or hate, because I'm the same way. People either love me or they don't. And I used to be like, why don't you love me? Now I don't give a shit. It's like, if you don't, you're lost, because I'm pretty awesome.
I'm pretty awesome too.
You are. And that's why we're friends. I mean, I think that it's, what was that saying? Like attracts like, right?
Yeah.
And I think that after we kind of sort of met, but then after we, started working together, and I remember you were like, you can send me a text anytime. You can whatever. I didn't believe it. I was like, she doesn't want me to bug her on a Saturday if I'm not, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And then I did. And you responded. And I was like, I said to Heather, I was like, she responded. She's like, what the hell did you expect? Because she met you, right? Yeah. She goes, what did you expect? And I went, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then, yeah, that was that. But
I've responded to people at 3:00 in the morning.
I know, which I would never do that. But I think that, we talk about relationships, and I'm a very relationship-based business, right? I don't want 100 clients. I want 30 or 40 clients that I can know. And I already have like half of that.
Love that.
Right? I can know. I know their story. I know their family. I know all of the different things about them that help me help them. Because if I don't know somebody, if I don't know their story, if we don't have like that little intimate thing, I mean, I don't have to be in your ass or anything, but I need to at least know, who you are so I can help you. Well, whatever. Anyway, so.
That's my new favorite saying.
If you're not watching this, you need to go to YouTube. Because the look on Jennifer's face right now, it's just priceless. But it's like, in order for me to help somebody, I need to know them, and I need to care about them.
Yeah.
Because if I don't care about you, I don't care about your business. And I know that sounds terrible, but
No,
it's like the truth.
it's the truth. I mean, listen, I really like my clients. I can love anyone. But like is much more precious to me, right? That's why I'm your friend. Like, that's huge to me, right? And so I have to like you. I've not taken on clients. I've fired clients because I'm like, yeah, no, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be that punching bag that you think you can be, right? I think in really listening to your gut, you get to really align with those people. And this is another thing for entrepreneurs, and when people first start off, they take any client on. They say yes to everything. And then they seem to off-road themselves in what they truly like or what their gifts and talents are. Like, start your foundation off good. Like, I have my rules of Jen. Like, create your rules of whoever you are and really stick to your rules and stick to those boundaries on an energetic and on a physical level, because they're important. And if you're going to go the long haul, you need those boundaries. You need to start training your clients so they know what to expect. And I remember once a couple of years ago, because I respond fairly quickly, and a client, and I never like, I'm out of the office. I never do those. And a client sent me an email and I didn't respond for 12 hours. And she sent me another email yelling at me, like, how could you do this? And blah, blah, blah. And I finally responded to her. I was like, I'm really sorry, but my mom was in the hospital. Like, I was not thinking about anything. Right. And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, you're not my client. You're not right?
Yeah.
I remember I got a new client and then I lost my voice. Like, the doctor's like, you cannot speak. Like, you have to not speak for like 3 days because it's all swollen and I'm worried you're going to do damage. I'm like, okay. So I send her a text and she's like, oh, I was really excited to start working with you. I literally just told you the doctor told me I couldn't speak or I would do damage. Right. And I get it, but I'm like, oh, you're going to be a problem.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really about, and that's more, everyone talks about your ideal client. Nobody talks about like dating, really, like, who do you want to date as a client? Like, they are your clients. They are your community. Do you want those people in your community? Do you want them over for your house for dinner? Not that you're going to have to.
I've been pretty much going on who don't I want as a client.
I love that.
I mean, because, I'm in BNI and they're like, what are you looking for this week? It's like, this is what I'm not looking for. And that's what I'm going to say tomorrow when I stand up, right? It's what I'm not looking for is somebody who is not going to pay their bills, somebody who is not going to be responsive to emails, and somebody who's not going to be responsive when we say that we need assets from them, and somebody who's not reliable. That's who I don't want. That's who I don't want. And I have team-based values for my team. We have 7 values now that if they, when they start working with me, like I have a new executive assistant, a new social media person, and even people who've been with me, for a long time, I revisit them and I'm like, okay, I have a new thing. They're team-based values. Clearly you live up to them because you've been with me forever, so whatever. But for the new people, this is what I expect. And I don't just expect it from you. This is what I do. This is how I live. This is how I work. And if you can't do this, let me know because this is not going to work.
Right.
And, and they're not hard. It's like integrity and open communication and
normal everyday things that are healthy for relationships. Yeah.
Look at things from a team vision, not just what you have to do. Look at that. If you don't do this, then it affects the entire team. Because
I think I have a new product for Iris. I think you should do a product about actually having how to create a team, a healthy team environment that actually works for a business.
I could do that too. We can add that into our services. I mean, my services right now, they're like really growing because I have, we do the video and all the other stuff and the strategy. But one of the things that I'm really finding, and we know I'm like a healer and a guide, and guiding people. I love that. And I don't know, we have to talk about that off of this because, but I think that's another one of the things that it's going to be like, okay, if you are not sure of what you need to be doing or where you need to be going, I will help you with it because I know. It's like, yeah. I know. It's the weirdest. Well, it's not weird, but for me, I've just been really, there've been a lot of people that are like, man, I'm really stuck. And I out of nowhere, it's like, oh, why don't you try this? And they were like,
is that the strategist? I think so.
Yeah.
Like, no one has any better soul languages than anyone else, right? But there's combinations that are really cool. Your combination's really cool. And I love that you were identified when you were, because traditionally negotiators 10 years ago didn't have any consciousness, and it was like a crap fest for negotiators. Like the practitioners would sit around, because I train people now in soul language, and they would sit around, they like, I identified another negotiator, like, whoa, right? Right. But what I love about that is you really since I've also known you, you've learned to create win-win situations for yourself, for your team, and for your clients. And that's about being consciousness in that area of negotiation for yourself, right? And then that extends out, because then they learn win-win situations, and your team member can go, listen, no, that's not the way we do this deal. Here's the way we do it. And so your ring of connection, your ring of influence just grows and grows and grows the more we get conscious.
I have an idea.
Oh, I love an idea.
Is this something that you do? Because if it's not, then okay. What if we did another show, and before the show, I asked so it's an hour show, figure 6 people or 7 people questions that they want to know about their soul language. Can you do that, or do they have to be there, or can you pick up their energy?
If they ask me a question, I can answer whatever question there is. I don't know if it will relate back to their soul language, but if they want to, I can answer any. I can read anyone,
even email ahead of time, and we can read them, and then Kofi, we'll do that.
We'll do it as a discovery session. So if they give me permission, I will ID a soul language for them, and then I'll talk about it on air. And if you know all of these people, okay. So then we would ID the same category, so you would know even more about them.
Okay, we're gonna do a show.
But why do you keep calling Patrick by a different name than Patrick?
Because he has 20 names.
Okay.
So he has Friday, he has Kofi, he has Patrick, he has, but I call him Kofi because Patrick. To me, he's not a Patrick, and I can't call him Friday because then I feel like I'm calling him a day.
Gotcha.
So Kofi to me, I just kind of landed on Kofi.
Okay.
And I also feel like I'm honoring a part of him that probably the rest of society wouldn't.
I love that.
So I love him. He's he's my brother. We have known each other for almost 20 years.
I love that.
And I pissed him off so bad a couple of months ago. He yelled at me.
Good going, Patrick.
He yelled at me, and I kind of sat there, and I was like, okay. And I had the phone like this a little bit because it was loud, and Heather was listening to it, and she's like, he's not wrong. And I was like, okay. But he's like my brother.
I love that.
Literally. And
love that.
So to be able to honor a part of him that, not a lot of
I
people do.
love
To me,
that.
it's important. So I try to be really conscious about people and
I know you
stuff.
do. And that's one of the things I love about you. And I think I don't know a lot of mortar makers. And so, I mean, that's not a language I collect.
Mhm.
I collect pioneers and, teachers of integrity and hunters and observers. So I love that you're that way. And I love the relationship we have because my mother's a negotiator. And so you give me a whole new experience of back
Wow.
and forth that is extremely healing. And then I bring that into my relationship with my mother. So,
Oh, that just. Okay, so 2 questions before we end because we're
okay.
shockingly at an hour.
Over time.
Oh no! I knew we would go. So I know this, and hopefully by this point everybody else knows this. But there are other soul teachers out there. Whatever. What is your differentiator?
I'm the only one that's actually putting tangibility to soul. Like, I'm actually describing the energy of your essential nature. Nobody does that. Enneagram, they're all external personality bits and pieces. This is who you are on a godlike level. So you could and can connect yourself to create what you want. That's one. Number 2, I'm one of those people that time and time again, I see people. I really see them.
Yeah.
And I can hold whatever they throw at me. Meaning, if they want to scream, if they want to cry, my energy can hold that and make you laugh at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty funny. And I've never really accepted that. Like, I'm pretty funny. And I think that's a huge difference. And I've got that business brain. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a juggernaut of business information. I know a lot of weird stuff. And I also know a lot of great people. So if I don't know the answer, I will hunt the answer down for you. We were watching something and the guy said, well, my dance card is full. And I said to Warner, do you know where that comes from? And he's like, no. And I gave him the total explanation of what dance card is. And he's like,
I know.
Right? He's like, how do you know that? I was like, I don't know. But that happens a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm also one of those people that is a respite for warrior energy, that they don't have to keep fighting, that they can let go and really be held and be safe being vulnerable. Because it sucks being the smartest person, the strongest person in the room all the time. It sucks.
All the time. Yeah.
Right? And you need that place where you can go, I'm falling apart inside. What do I do about that? Yeah. So I think that's what makes me different.
I love that.
Thank you.
The last question that I ask all my guests, I'm sad that we're here already, but we're going to talk for a minute after this, is what lights your fire?
That's a really good question. I love talking about big things, right? I love kind of that conversation of meaty, delicious, let's tear it apart. Let's see how this works. Let's make something new. I love that. I love murder shows. I do. I love them. Warner and I are flipping through the murder shows, and I was like, we've seen it. And I turned to him, I go, honey, we've seen all of these. Are we going to have to start committing murders so we can watch TV?
They are kidding. Anybody listening to this, if the government is listening, they are kidding. Do you watch Criminal Minds?
Yes, but see, Warner won't watch that kind of murder. He will only watch fact-based murder, like Dateline, 48 Hours, Forensic Files.
I gotcha. Okay.
Right? So I can watch all of it, right? And here's the really fun part about that. The other night we were watching something, and they were talking about how this guy took his ex-wife's car and moved it into one location. But before he told the police that he went to the gas station, filled up, because she didn't have gas in her car, filled up the little can with gas, then gave it to her, and she drove off. So they're showing images of his car, and I'm like, there's the gas can in his car. Like, how come the police aren't noticing that there's the gas can in his car? I'm like, Werner, I'd be a great detective. He's like, you would be. And I was like, so now I'm hunting for clues in those murder things that police are missing.
Well, that's awesome. Oh, God. Okay. Don't go anywhere.
I won't.
I'm going to say goodbye. I'll be right back. Okay. Do you love Jennifer as much as I do? Of course you do. She's amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out for an hour plus once again. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please go like, share, subscribe, download, but really share and like. The more likes we get, the more we show up. And it's weird. Everyone's like, we're watching the show, and I know everybody's watching it, but our numbers are just weird. I don't know how that works. Maybe Kofi can explain that to me. But anyway, so do all the things. Help us rise up, because I'm getting to the point that I really want to get a sponsor. So help this little one out. Share, like, subscribe. I appreciate each and every single one of you. You are all awesome. And until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.